Hello, my name is Cindy Markham and I'm a reading specialist for Adrian Public Schools. Today I'll be doing a short lesson with a small group of first grade students on the topic of phonics and word recognition. I will be covering the Common Core State Standard ELA Literacy Reading Foundation 1.3F. The topic is reading words with inflectional endings. The students and I will be working together using whiteboards, magnetic letters, and guided reading books. So if I were to ask you what is a suffix or a word ending, what would you tell me about that? What do you know about that already? We were kind of just doing some of that in our book just now. What were we looking at when we were doing that?
ED.
ED.
ING.
An ING, yep, you're right. ED would be an ending.
One ING.
Yep, an ING. Can you think of another one? So if you had ED, an ING, is there anything else that you might see at the end of a word?
LL.
An LL maybe? Okay. An S. So we're going to talk about what we call suffixes today. And if you think about this, I made a little chart for us right here. It's called What is a Suffix? And in a suffix, you're right, there's the little root of the tree. So that's kind of like the root word. That's like the base part of the word. And then a little branch at the end of it is going to be the suffix. So it says a suffix attaches to the end of a root word to create a new word with a different meaning. So remember when we said in the story that we read just a few minutes ago, there was the word lifted, and the root word of that would be lift, right? So we're going to add that ED to the end of that to make a new word called lifted. So I wanted to kind of, let's grab our marker, and I'm going to make what's called a word web. So let's use that word that was in the book. This word was the word lift, and I'm going to make a little circle around this. That's our word, that's our web. And we're going to kind of think of all the different endings that we could use for that. So if we were going to add this to the end of the word, what ending might we add to that? I think I heard one of you say it already. What would we add to that?
ED.
An ED. So that word then would become lift id. That's how we do say it. We say lifted, wouldn't we? Can you think of another ending that we would add?
S.
An S, wouldn't it? So if we did that one, we would say
Lift.
lifts. Alana, can you think of another one? If we had lifted and lifts, what would be another real common one that we might see a lot of? We had S, we had ED. Can you think of that one that says, it starts with an I and?
Lifting.
Lifting, yes. So we would add that to the end of the word, didn't we? Lifting. Could we say lifter? Doesn't kind of make sense, does it? It's not one that we're going to use a lot. Could we say liftly? Does that make sense or sound right? It really doesn't. So let's do one together. Can you think of another word from the story that we just read? Let's use our whiteboards today. I'm going to give you that. And here is your markers as well. So let's do one together on our whiteboards. If we had, let's make, how about if we use the word help? Let's use that. Let's write help on our whiteboard. And we're just going to put a little circle around it. Let's write the word help on our whiteboard. Okay, Alana, I'm going to have you erase it and put it right in the middle of your board. Okay? Okay, so make a little circle around that, Nathaniel. So if we were thinking of suffixes or the parts at the end of the word, and we want to read the ending of the word. So can you think of a word that we could, an ending that we could add to help to make a new word? Helping. So we're going to do that, aren't we? Let's try. Let's write the word help. That's our root word, just like in the tree. And now we're going to add the suffix, helping. Keep going, and Lana, you almost got it. Finish that. ING. Good job. All right, so let's think of another suffix that we could add to help. What else could we add?
Helped.
Helped. Does that make sense? So how would we say
Helped.
Yes, it has to make sense. So we're going to use that ed ending, aren't we? Here's our root word, and here's our ending or our suffix, but we don't say id on that one, do we? We say helped, and that makes that t sound at the end. Can we think of one more? What would be another one? If we had id for ed and we have ing for ing, what's another word ending that we could use? Helped, helping, help.
Help.
Helps. Yeah, we could put that one, couldn't we? So here's our root word.
And if you have
Help.
trouble, you could look up there.
You could. That's our little of our word web, isn't it? Like we're doing right now. So we're going to add our suffix or our ending. And what's our word now?
Helps.
Helps. So what are you guys being today with me?
Helping.
You are helping, but there's another one. There's another one, and I don't think we have it on that one, but we can put it here. Here's our root word, and now we're going to add our suffix. Watch, we're going to add this one.
Helper.
Helper. You're my helpers today, aren't you? Absolutely. So we could have all these different endings or suffixes that we're going to put at the end of the word. So is it important that our eyes look at the end of the word when we're reading?
Yeah.
It sure is. So let's put the tops on our markers, and we're going to just set that over to the side for a second. You do not have to erase that. But I brought a book with me today, and it's called The Goat in the Garden. You might know this book, you might not know this book.
I do.
Do you know this book? Okay. Well, in this story, The Goat in the Garden, there is a goat who is in the garden, and the farmer and his wife are really upset because the goat keeps eating all of the things that they planted in the garden.
And they keep calling somebody to get up.
Yes, they're trying to
can't
get
take
this
the
goat out of the garden, but
can't
nothing
take
is
the
working.
Except for the ant.
Yeah, so an ant comes along, and they're kind of thinking, how can this little ant help me get this big goat out of the garden? They don't think he can do it.
Yeah, he's like,
So he's got a plan to help him. But before we read
it's
this,
red ant.
yes. And what do we know about those red ants?
They bite.
They do. So what do you think might help him get that out of the
They
garden?
bite and they
They
sting.
might, yes. You guys are so smart. So let's take a little look in this story for a second. I want to go through our story just a little bit. And I want you to look on page 2 for me. We were just talking about our suffixes and our endings and reading those words that have endings in. So I want you to look and see if you can find any of those words on this page. And when you do, I want you to just kind of shout them out to me, and I'm going to write them down. Can you shout them out to me, Nathaniel? Can you find one?
E-N. Like went.
Like went? Show me.
I found garden.
So where's that one? Show me. Okay, so you're thinking garden, all right? So we're just going to write that down. Guard, N. All right, so you're thinking that E-N is one, right? Okay, so could we just say, is he in the guard? Does that make sense?
No.
No, so that's really not a suffix we're going to add to that word, is it? So that one doesn't follow our pattern, does it? Nope. Look at that page again and see if you can find another word that kind of starts with like, ends with like what we had. Look on this page, first page, right up here. Can you find one that has one of those endings that we just talked about?
E-D.
ED. Can you read that word for me?
Planted.
Planted. Does that word?
E-R.
What is that word?
Farmer.
Farmer. So we can add that to the to the end, can't we? Is there any other word on that page? So how about if we turn to page...
Garden.
Let's turn to page... Yep. Let's see. Where's it at? Look on page 12. I want you to look on page 12. There is a tricky little word on that page. They use it to describe the ant.
Auntie.
Well, it's not ant-T. They
T.
use this word to describe how small the ant is. Can you think of what that word might be?
T-I-N-Y.
Yeah, and you know what? That word is called tiny. That word is tiny, because ants are tiny, aren't they? But they have a big bite, don't they? Because we were talking about that just a second ago. All right, so let's go back and see. I want you to go back to the very beginning of this book. Turn to the very first page, Nathaniel. Okay, and in this story has a different beginning. Sometimes stories start with things like once upon a time, once there was.
Long ago.
Yes, this story starts with long ago. So this is kind of a story that's being told from a long time ago, and they're kind of telling it to us.
And they planted corn, sunflowers.
They did. So when you're reading this story, I want you to pay close attention to when you're reading those words to make sure that your eyes look to the end of the word.
I see the goat.
So Nathaniel, will you start us off with this story, please?
Long ago, a farmer and his wife planted a garden. One day, goat went into the garden. Goat ate the plants.
He ate the plants, didn't he? Keep going, Nathaniel.
Stop, said the farmer and his wife, but goat ate and ate. Let's get dog. Let's get dog.
There you go.
Said the farmer. He will make good goat go away.
So read that last line again. He will.
He will make goat go away.
Okay, Alana, your turn. Read page 6. Oops, one too far.
So dog went into the garden. Dog barked at goat, but goat kicked dog out of the garden.
Nice check right there, Alana. Good job. Keep going.
He kicked him with his leg.
Keep going.
But how can
Let's.
they do that? Let's get dog, said the farmer. Wife, she will make go away.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
So duck went into the garden. Duck quacked at goat, but goat kicked duck out of the garden.
Goat doesn't sound like he wants anybody in there but him. Keep going, Nathaniel.
Where is cow? Said the farmer. She will kick goat out.
Do you think Cow's going to be able to do it?
No.
Why not?
Because the goat is going to kick him.
You think he's going to kick the cow out? He's pretty big, though, isn't he? Cow's pretty big. Let's find out.
But probably the goat has strong legs.
Yeah, I think you're right. Goats do have strong legs. Keep going, Nathaniel.
So cow went into the garden. Cow mooed at goat, but goat kicked cow out of the garden too.
Are you right? How do you know you're right that that word is mooed? What did you have to do?
Moo.
How do you know? What did you have to look at?
ED.
You had to look at the ED, the end of that word, to know, right?
Because sometimes it don't have ED.
Sometimes it doesn't, but it's our job to know and look at the end of those words to make sure we look carefully, isn't it? It could change in the story if we don't, how it's read. Keep going, Nathaniel. That was good work.
The farmer and his wife said,
Were
sad.
There you go.
Soon they would have nothing to eat.
Alana, you read?
I can't help, said the little ant. How can you help us? Said the farmer and his wife. You are tiny. Just watch and said Ant.
Try that line again.
Just watch, said Ant.
Keep going.
Ant climbed up Goat's leg. She bit Goat. Ouch, cried Goat.
Yeah, Casey is yelling at it. There's an ouch. Absolutely.
Ouch, 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 ouch.
I'd probably ouch too. Keep going, Nathaniel.
Ant climbed on Goat's back. She bit Goat again and again. Ouch, ouch, cried Goat. Then Goat ran out of the garden. Ouch, ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Keep going.
Thank you, little ant, said the farmer and his wife. You are tiny, but you saved our garden.
So, did Goat sound like he kind of learned a lesson there, didn't he?
Can we do
Yeah.
the play?
Will you read the last page?
I like it here, said Ant. I will stay and keep Goat away.
So, do you think that the farmer and his wife are happy now? Why, Alana?
Because Ant got Goat away.
Ant did get Goat away. What did Ant do to get Goat away?
Bit him.
He bit him. Was that a good plan? Yes, it was. Would you run away too if you got bit by ants like that? I would. I wouldn't want to stay there. No, I wouldn't either. So let's go back just real quickly, and I want you to erase your board. We are going to just kind of make a little list of some words from our story reel today.
I would get on my dad's back.
So you'd let your dad get bit. Is that what you do? All right, turn to page 3.
Then jump on my brother.
And then jump on your brother. So you've got some plans for yourself, huh? Save yourself, huh, buddy? All right, here, take your marker and your eraser. And I want you to look on page 3, and I want you to see if you can find one of those words that you have to look for the end of that word, that suffix. Look on page 3. One more back. Can you look on the bottom of page
TS.
3? So what is that word?
Plants.
Okay, so let's write that word plants on our board, because that's one of the words we worked on today with endings, isn't it? You can copy that right from your book. Okay, is that plants or is that planted?
Plants.
Okay, so let's make it say plants.
Planted.
Okay, what would you put at the end of that? Okay, now turn to page 6. And I want you to find the word barked. Okay, what ending does that have? That has that ED ending, so go ahead and write that down. And copy that right from the book. Okay, and now turn to page 9. What do you notice on page 9?
You see the goat still.
And what word on page 9 would help you with suffixes? What word on there?
Out. There is
Who are we talking about on that page? We're talking about the... Who is that? The farmer, yes. So what do we notice about the end of that word?
There's the ER.
It does have that ER in it, doesn't it? Can you write that word down? Okay, and one more. I want you to turn to page 15, towards the end of the story.
Thank you. Thank.
Is that one that has an ending? That's not really following our
Right.
pattern, isn't it? Can you find another word maybe on that last page right there that would have one of the
Garden.
endings? Could it be
Garden.
S or ed or ing?
Tiny.
Does that have one of those suffixes on it?
E-N. Garden.
EY.
Could it be saved?
Saved.
Yeah. Let's write that word save down. So what if I only looked right here at this word? What would happen if I stopped right there reading that word?
It wouldn't make. It
I
would
would
make
say
sense.
It wouldn't
plant.
make sense in the story,
I
probably,
would
would it?
put plant.
Yeah, so, but that's not the word they have in the book, is it? They want us to think about the word plants. So it's very important we make sure that our eyes go to the end of the word, don't we? Let's look at this next one. What if we did this one, Alana? What if it was that word? If we only stopped right there and looking at that word?
It wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't. And it's the word bark, isn't it? And we have to make sure we take our eyes to the end of that word so we see the word barked, right? And that's the same thing. If we only stop at certain parts of those words and we only look at one part of the word, we're not reading that whole word. So it's very important. We have to make sure we take our eyes and look all the way through to the end of that word. And when we do that and we're adding those parts to the words, we call those suffixes, don't we? So if we look at our board up here, we're going to see this little chart. It's called suffixes. And it says suffixes come after the root, or sometimes teachers call it the base word. So if we look here, we see suffix, and these are the ones that we kind of talked about today. And this is kind of what it means. If we would think about something that has an S at the end, it's talking about present, like right now. Not a present you get for Christmas, but something that's happening right now. And then an example would be helps. And if we did ing or ing, that's kind of happening right now, like you're helping me, right? So that, or you're looking in the book. That's kind of the example that they use. And then that and that ed, they have a couple separate things that have to kind of think about a little bit more there.
Or like ER, helper.
Are you my helper today? You are. That's absolutely right. All right, so let's put the tops on our markers and go ahead and erase our boards. And thank you, boys and girls, for doing that with me today. Today we reviewed the Common Core State Standard Reading Foundation 1.3F, or Read Words with Inflectional Endings. I used a word web to help students determine word endings, S, ing, and ed. We looked for words with these endings in the book, and then we began reading the book.